thank God it's Friday. It's time for another Mohr About, the show in which I automatically do all these nonsensical things to show you who I am and what I'm about. And I'm going to talk about two topics this week. I mean, largely two. They are divided into a few subcategories. But the big two things on my mind this week have been the continuation of the Trump-Epstein scandal and an interview. Oh, sorry. My camera is connected through Wi-Fi, so the wireless is a bit stuttery. And the second is an interview that made me... I don't know if laugh or cry would be the right thing to say, but... you'll see what I'm talking about when we get to it. There will be a video clip, so hang tight. So let's start with the most talked about topic of this presidency in the US, the Epstein case. Oh, Epstein, it's the most important thing in the world. Is it Israel? Is it the US? Is it FBI? Is it Mossad? Oh, who knows? And who cares, practically. But, I mean, a lot of people do, so that's what I'm going to talk about. And it is interesting. I mean, I'm exaggerating things, but it is very interesting. And I'll say something surprising in a bit. This week we've been bombarded by more and more media coverage of the Epstein scandal. After Trump last week asked a reporter something in the lines of, "We're still talking about this, man." I don't know. I can't do a Trump impersonation. It's not me. So he said something like, "Are we still talking about that man? He's been talked about again and again and again, and who cares?" And we have other things to worry about, like the horrible disaster in Texas, the flood. And other stuff like the big beautiful bill. Yeah, that was a bit better. I'll get there eventually. But what I think is going on is a big eye-opener for Trump supporters. And by the way, should I say this now or later? I'll say it later. That sentence that Trump told a reporter is a classic spin sentence. When you have most presidents, if you watched Wag the Dog or any political science, cheap thriller dramedy of some kind, you've probably heard about spin doctors, guys and girls who work for presidents, inventing things that the media will be obsessed about to let them do things behind the scenes that the media won't notice. Trump doesn't need a spin doctor. He's his own spin doctor. Truth Social is Trump's spin doctor. And he uses it, utilizes it a lot, too much, in fact. But that was a bit too much for his supporters because he ran with his big endorsers and now employees on the promise of exposing the Epstein case, the JFK case, and the Martin Luther King case. And he didn't do neither of those three. And what did happen is his people went out, Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, and said, "Oh, we looked at the cases and there was nothing there," after they promised again and again to be transparent. Do you know that word? Transparent? No, not in the meaning of the TV series from the last decade, which was, I don't know because I didn't bother watching it, but I'm assuming as a Hollywood pondering thing, it was probably horrible. But the other meaning of, the original meaning of transparent That's what they promised all along, and that's the one thing they didn't deliver. They delivered on cracking down on the border, on deporting illegals, on passing big financial reforms without completely hurting all those stupid healthcare things you have in the US, which are very odd. I mean, I live in Israel, so it's even odder here. It's half government operated, half private. It's like this weird combination, but never mind. Your system is even stranger and even more corrupt. So they passed everything, but transparency. We didn't get much transparency. Sorry, it's a tough word to pronounce. What we did get is a lot of shouts and press conferences. First, saying, we have it all, we'll make it all public. And then, oh, how dare you demand that we make it all public? Don't you believe us that we've looked at it and we know there's nothing there? I mean, we're on your side. No, you're not on our side. You were... It's not about believing you. Like I said last week, and by the way, still, the people you choose to believe say a lot about you. Because if you choose to believe pathological liars, I mean, no, I wouldn't call them pathological, but they are liars. And call them friends and trustworthy. No, if they don't deliver on their number one promise, sorry, they're neither worth friendship or trust or anything. Yeah, I'm getting a bit too long about this. Next point is, so they went out. I talked about this last week, but it's still the most talked about issue in the news. So let's finish with this one first. It seems like Trump's anger with the media for asking about it and Pam Bondi's sudden U-turn and Kash Patel is a distraction of some kind, like a spin by a spin doctor. Whatever they found, they don't want us to know. So, I mean, okay, now is the time to reveal the most surprising fact of this week. I found something that I'm, as an Israeli Jew, agree on with Tucker fucking Carlson. Sorry about the curse. I mean, I hate him, and the very fact I have to say his name because he's been so much in the public attention recently hurts me. It hurts, but I have to, because he, as anti-Semitic as he became in the last few couple years, I'd say, like a broken clock that shows the right time twice a day, anti-Semites are sometimes right about things. And I do believe by the way it looks, I don't have any proof, but it looks to me like a classic Mossad operation, that the whole Epstein killing himself thing. I mean, the FBI would have done it, the CIA would have done it much cleaner. It's so dirty, and so many levels of corruption were there, like the cameras being broken, and the guards mistakenly giving him everything he needed to kill himself in max security penitentiary or whatever it's called, and then the 3 missing minutes, and then the very bad video editing. I mean, it's a classic Mossad thing. The CIA would have... I mean, I want to believe that. As much as I don't like Americans, I want to believe your intelligence service is good enough to pull an operation like this on your own soil without being so... what's the word I'm looking for? Like, clumsy. Don't you agree? Write in the comments, please. So on that one on that one assumption, I agree with Carlson. But on the rest, I don't. I don't think they are covering this up to defend Mossad. I think it was some kind of a mutual benefactory thing. And the US has an interest there as well. The fact they're now, this week, Trump, that was the stupidest thing he's ever said. And he's said a lot of stupid things. It was something like, these documents were written by Obama and crooked Hillary anyway. So why would we believe what's in them? I mean, is that your standard now? Because if that's the standard, Obama, Hillary, Biden, crooked administrations also wrote the current laws and the information about Iran's nuclear program were written in the CIA and NSA under those democratic presidents. So why do you believe that and not other documents that the same agency under the same presidents plural and vice presidents wrote? You cannot say anything that were done under these presidents is now a lie, because you cannot live that way. You have to assume most of what people do is adherent to some truth. People can't lie so much, so long, and I mean, if it was like that, the democracy would be dead already. I mean, it is kind of dead, but I mean, deader than it is. Next point. So, and the fact they're saying we didn't publish things because that's one claim. It was written by liars anyway, which is a stupid claim. I mean, go release every killer because the GAs who put those killers inside and proved their guilt were all Democrats. So maybe they were all liars. So all these people should be free, right? Just like Jeffrey Epstein, his client list or whatever. And then there was the other claim that we had to censor sensitive names, but details of victims. It doesn't take this long. What was it, like 6 months now, to censor the names off the documents when you have thousands and thousands of employees under your salary. So that doesn't hold water as well. And then there is the big media conundrum. Right-wing media is trying to defend what Trump is doing in such pathetic ways. I've heard people saying, if they're saying there was nothing, I trust them that there was nothing. That wasn't the point. The point was transparency. Whatever there was, they promised whatever there was. If there was nothing, and if there was something, we would release the information for you to see it in your own eyes, and they didn't. So you cannot defend that because they lied about that. And another claim I've seen was what was the other one? I'm not sure I even remember. My problem is I don't have a proper teleprompt right now, so I just prepared, 8, 9 talking points which I want to touch in this show, and everything in between I'm filling in as I go. So sorry about that. I'll try to get better at it as time goes by and as I become more experienced. Anyway, so one thing that made me laugh is Ben Shapiro this week had a 10-minute rant about a Christian production children's TV show having a gay couple, and he was so angry with the creators for not sticking to their so-called principles, the Christian principles they claimed they had in past productions. And suddenly they let a gay couple appear on a children's TV show. And it made me laugh because you don't adhere to your own principles, Ben Shapiro, and several other podcasters. I won't name everyone because I'm not here to fight, okay? It's just so funny that you said, all of you, before the election, let's see what they do after the election. They promised A, B, C, and we'll grade them on filling their promises of A, B, and C. And every promise they break, they are not judged. No. They had a good reason. They had a good reason to take out several very coveted parts of the one big beautiful bill, and placing completely unfair tariffs, which I'll talk about in a bit, on other countries. And every single time you find an excuse not to criticize them. It's pathetic. Just like you criticize people from the other side, you should be allowed, and not allowed, just applauded for criticizing your own side when people do something wrong. But you don't. Everything is becoming partisan. And when your people make a mistake, it's suddenly not a mistake anymore. Like, one example, okay, because that screams to the sky. Executive orders. I remember a time many, many years ago, like 4 maybe, when when Biden's corpse was sworn in as a president, and he signed within a couple weeks like 100 or 200 executive orders. And people would, oh no, that's undemocratic. Executive orders are only for like completely necessary things that cannot be that you cannot wait for them to pass in Congress and the House. Trump has signed, I think, about double that by now. Sorry, I didn't prepare the numbers for this specific issue beforehand, but I do know it exists. And Trump, every single day, passes like 20 executive orders. You cannot run a country by executive orders. You have to pass laws. And they only passed 3 laws in 6 months? The big beautiful bill, and yesterday the crypto one, Genius Act, and there was one other that I remember a couple weeks ago. Also something about finance. And what about everything else? You cannot have a country built on executive orders, because then every president will reverse his former his predecessors' executive orders. It's stupid. It's not the way to run the country. Executive orders were meant to be something for extraordinary times and circumstances, not the daily runner. But you apparently have no more standards. And that's where we're going. So now we get to tariffs, because I promised to talk about tariffs. This week, Trump announced a deal with Indonesia for a fair trade. And this is a grotesque example of how much a liar Trump is and how apologetic his supporters are. He ran on the premise of stopping the rip-off by other countries of the US. And I don't think he said that, but his immediate employees and media, how do you call them in English? The people who automatically make every point he says on the media, they all said one thing. He wants free trade. He wants to annul tariffs as much as possible. But that this week's deal with Indonesia says the US will not pay tariffs for Indonesian produce, and Indonesia will pay 19% tariff on US produce. So that's not zero tariffs. That's not free trade. That's extortion. That's absolute extortion. It's not fair. It's not, I mean, and if you go, because I know some people will probably say in the comments, but they ripped us off for years, so now it's their time to pay. May I remind you, just a couple years back, the same thing was said about reparations. Remember, for slaves, and you said, "Oh no, we're you can't make us pay for previous generations' wrongdoings," and now you're doing the same to other countries. Someone 100 years ago signed an unfair deal, and now the poor people of Indonesia, and it's not a rich country, must pay for something that a politician 100 years ago did. It makes no sense. It's not fair or free trade. And since we're talking about trade, there is the China thing. And this week, I got very angry or sad. I still haven't decided which is more, which feeling is the more obvious one in me about this. Nvidia got the Trump's approval to continue sending its H20 AI chips to China. This is wrong in so many levels, and I'll start with the Trump. I'll start with the corruption angle. Trump did many events with tech moguls in the last few months, or actually the last year, even before the election. He had dinners with them. He got money from them for his campaign. And after he was elected, he had a dinner, a very expensive dinner, by the way, in Mar-a-Lago with the CEO of Nvidia, Jensen Huang. Sorry, it's a bit hard to pronounce for a Westerner. And miraculously, a few weeks pass, quite a few weeks, and suddenly that Huang gets an approval to continue selling the chips Trump said were too dangerous to sell to China. Suddenly they're not. It looks wrong. I mean, I'm not saying it has to be corruption, but it is kind of odd. Wouldn't you agree? That he has a very expensive dinner on Huang's dime, and suddenly Huang gets more business with a country you're defining as your number one enemy. And even though the chips he's allowed to sell to them are the H20 and not H100, which are the most advanced ones, it's still dangerous. And now I'll show you a clip, and then I'll explain why. By the way, what a P.S Fareed Zakaria is. Listen to this very, very carefully, what he says now, because it's very, very important. Okay. This is enough. I don't need the rest. This was Fareed Zakaria's interview with Jensen Huang, aired on Sunday on CNN. And as you heard, Huang said that the US has an interest in China building its AI on Nvidia chips because what exactly? Because then you control them? How exactly? And here we come to a very, very dangerous topic. By the way, I have to mention before I start, Jensen Huang is the sixth richest person in the world as of today, according to Forbes, with a net worth of $150 billion. And he should know a thing or two about running a business and the interests that the business and the country it is in have. But then he says we have the interest of Chinese AI being built on our tech. One thing he says there is that it makes them reliant on us because it can be limited at any time. That sentence may mean a few things. Do you mean limited by stopping the selling of chips to China? Or do you mean limited as in remotely disabling the chips already in their possession? And each of these options is stupider than the other. Because the way Chinese market works, they buy American products or they get the license to make them, or the factories the Americans don't want to have in the US because it's cheaper to manufacture in China, because a Chinese worker earns like what 1 part of 20 of what an American worker earns, or even less. I did have the number in a story I wrote recently, but I don't remember what it was. I did do that math. So they get the technology to be made in by them or for them, and then they dissect the chips and they learn how to make them themselves. That's how China has worked for 40 years. And if Jensen Huang, I have to say this. Okay, first, Jensen Huang is the CEO of Nvidia. His largest, I mean, it's funny to call largest a company worth about 1 part of 50 of yours. But their largest competitor, AMD, in the graphics chips market, started like this. It was a small American company that bought Intel chips, reverse engineered them, and made their own copies for a lower price. That's how AMD started. That's on Wikipedia, that's written in books that you can buy on Amazon or something. And this is not a conspiracy theory, okay? This is reality. Ask Lisa Su, the CEO of AMD. Lisa Su will tell you the way they made their chips, she wasn't in the company back then, but she got in a bit later. But they started by copying Intel chips and remaking them, rebuilding them. They actually called there was something they didn't understand, they called the Intel factory and asked the not factory, our R&D center, research and development center, to ask. And Intel engineers were so confident in the quality of their work that they gave away the secrets because they had no idea where it was going. And or maybe they had it and didn't care. So China has been doing the same thing, just 100 times more. And the fact that the big competitor of the company that was built on top of that business model does not understand that that's how it works. And if you sell them the H20 chips now, they will learn to make them themselves. And you cannot limit it next year, because by next year, they will have their own H20 factory in China and they won't need you anymore. It's crazy. And the other option is even worse, because if it means remotely disable the chips, that brings us to something I will talk about in this show a lot, because this is something I've been following since 2015 or so as a tech reporter. I call it the I had a name for it. I mean, in Hebrew, I remember how I call it, but in English, I had like a nice sounding name, and I forgot what it was because it's in a blog that I never published. It was right after Satya Nadella became the CEO of Microsoft, so it was 10 years ago, because he was appointed in February 2015. Wow, how time flies when you enjoy yourself. Wow, this episode is becoming quite a long one. Sorry for that. My intention is 30 minutes per week or so. I'll try to wrap this up in a few minutes. The thing is, if you claim to have control over the chips remotely, you're opening a Pandora's box, because first, you're saying you already have control of the chips you already sold to them. So why did you ever stop? It's the best thing you could have ever wanted. Like the Mossad selling beepers that it has a dead man's trigger for, a remote dead man's trigger for, to Hezbollah. Why would you ever stop selling those to China? I mean, I'm assuming if there is a backdoor to the chips that Nvidia can remote control. Oh, I forgot to say, if there is such a thing, then Nvidia is for every purpose part of the American military industrial complex, because it's not selling the chips to China as a trade thing, but as an intelligence operation. And then why would Huang even need to convince Trump that we need it? The CIA should be doing that, not the CEO. CIA, CEO, oh, it sounds a lot of, yeah. Is there a connection there? Here's a stupid conspiracy for you. And yeah, so this is the thing. If you remote control the chips, why would you ever stop selling them? And why would you say, or at least imply, that you have it now in an interview on CNN? I mean, I know CNN has no ratings. This sentence was quoted in every single tech site in the world, including, if you know tech websites, go there and look for that, for the story about Jensen Huang tells Fareed Zakaria look for Zakaria Huang AI China American stack, and you'll find the exact quote of this specific sentence. Everyone quoted it, and nobody mentioned what it means, because the meaning is terrifying. Because we've been hacked, I want to say. Everything we own is remote controlled by someone else. But why would you say so on TV? Are you a moron, Jensen Huang? You run the most profitable, not the most profitable, but the highest market share company in the world. It doesn't mean most profitable. It just means the investors think you have the highest potential for revenue. If you manage to live up to it, that's another question. I think it's very hard to live up to a $4 billion market share evaluation. But how can you be the CEO of the largest company on earth currently and give such a gross admission of guilt of your own involvement in shoddy operations on a TV interview? Do you think everyone is stupid? I don't know, but that's something we all have to think about. And that's it for this week of Mohr About. You'll see me next Friday.